All right, today we're jumping into a really radical proposal. It's a detailed blueprint for a new kind of global cooperation, and it's called the Stellar Raft Alliance. And what's so fascinating is that it doesn't start with politics or with money. Nope. It starts with the one thing that connects all of us: language.
So let's just start with this one massive question. What if the biggest roadblock to us all getting along isn't about our different goals, but just that we literally can't truly understand each other? This whole proposal asks you to imagine a new kind of world, one built from the ground up on language.
To really get this, we first have to draw a line in the sand between translation and understanding. See, translation is just swapping words. It's easy, but it misses all the culture, all the history, all the flavor that's baked into how we talk. But true understanding, well, that's about sharing the meaning behind the words, while keeping that unique cultural identity totally intact. And that right there, that's the key.
Okay, so how in the world do you do that on a global scale? The answer here is pure technology, something called a universal language core. It's the engine that's designed to let us all speak a common language, but without anyone having to give up their own. So the architecture here, they call it the Civilization Crystal, which is a pretty cool name, is based on this incredible insight. After digging through 50 major civilizations, the system figured out that only about, 12 or 13% of our concepts are actually universal. Basic stuff, survival, emotions. But the other 87%, that's the cultural adaptation layer. That's our unique stuff, our metaphors, our values, our DNA. And the system doesn't try to erase it, it just learns how to navigate it. And here's what that looks like in practice. So, in a test, they took the Chinese expression, diligent as an ox. Now, if you just translate that literally for someone from an Arabic culture, it might not land, because the camel, not the ox, is the ultimate symbol of reliability there. So the ULC, it's smart. It maps the meaning, the actual concept of diligence, to the right cultural equivalent. It translates the intent, not just the dictionary definition.
And the results, well, they're kind of staggering. In the areas that are the most culturally tricky, the ULC just blows traditional methods out of the water. I mean, a 36% improvement in tense negotiations is already huge. But look at religious texts, a 103% increase. That's more than double. It suggests the system can actually handle the most sacred, the most nuanced language we have.
So when you have a tool this powerful, you start thinking bigger. The proposal shifts from just better translation to building something huge, a new alliance. It's about turning a shared language into a shared future.
And this is it. The Stellar Raft Alliance. Now, let's be super clear. This is not about creating one single global government or one boring monoculture. It's actually the complete opposite. It's a framework built from day one to protect and even promote our differences.
Its core principle is basically this two-part promise. On the one hand, cultural sovereignty is inviolable. Your identity, your history, your culture, it's yours and it's protected. But at the same time, civilizational achievements flow freely. All the cool stuff your culture creates can be shared with everyone without getting mangled or lost in translation.
And this is where things get really wild. This leads to a totally new economic model called the Civilization Contribution Economy. It asks a question that's almost impossible to answer. How do you put a price tag on culture? Okay, this is just fascinating. In this system, a traditional die-dyeing craft is valued higher than a patent for a cutting-edge quantum algorithm. And you gotta ask, why? Because its cultural uniqueness is off the charts, almost a 1.0, even if the global demand is just medium. This completely flips the script on what we think of as valuable.
So how does it figure that out? It's a pretty simple idea, really. First, the system measures uniqueness, like how rare is this thing? Is it one of a kind? Then it tracks demand. How much do people actually want it? And finally, it just combines those two scores. It's a system that rewards cultures for their unique heritage, not just for the tech they can sell.
Okay, but you might be thinking, wait a minute. If everyone's sharing everything, what stops one giant culture from just steamrolling everybody else? Well, the Alliance has a firewall built right in. It's got these two super clever, totally automated safeguards. The first is called the Rainbow Law. Think of it like a safety switch. If any single culture starts getting too influential, say more than 15% of the total, bam, a knowledge tariff kicks in automatically to help rebalance things. And then there's the cultural entropy shield, which is even cooler. If a culture's uniqueness starts to fade, the system actively steps in with aid, data storage, everything it needs to help it survive and thrive again.
So, you've got the language tool, you've got the new economy, you've got the cultural firewalls. So what does all of this look like when you put it into motion? Let's check out the projected impact of this framework for the future.
Okay, the numbers here are they're nuts. A 2,500% increase in the voice of smaller civilizations. Think about that. A nearly 15 times higher success rate for reviving endangered cultures. But the one that really just stops you in your tracks is the speed.
Yeah, let's just pause on that. 1,500 times faster. We're talking about taking a complex dispute that normally takes, 17 months? A year and a half of arguing and red tape, and solving it in 8 hours. It's possible because the ULC just strips out all the misunderstandings that clog up the system for months on end.
And the engine powering all of this is the Civilization Starlink. It's basically a quantum database for every single agreement, every ruling is locked into something called a juridical crystal. It's permanent evidence that can't be changed. This isn't just about record keeping, it's about embedding absolute trust and transparency right into the code of the system.
The whole philosophy, the whole feeling of this project is captured in this beautiful line from the original proposal. Scattered, we are a sky of stars. Gathered, a sea of civilizations. The point isn't to merge every star into one giant blinding sun. It's to let every star shine brightly on its own, and to see how together they form this incredible, vast sea of light.
And you know what's funny? This super futuristic, high-tech proposal is actually trying to achieve a really ancient dream. It's this idea that all things are nurtured together without harming one another. All paths are pursued in parallel without interfering with one another. It's a system built for harmony, not for competition. So that leaves us with the big one, the final question. Is the Stellar Raft Alliance a real, plausible blueprint for a better world? One that's built on celebrating what makes us different? Or is it all just a beautiful, impossible dream? That's the thought we'll leave you with.